In this video, I am going to discuss about conditional sentences. Conditional sentences. Let's see what is conditional sentences. So, in short, we can say that conditional sentences are statements. Means conditional sentences are also statements, but it discusses about known factors or hypothetical factors or their consequences. Consequences means result or effect. So conditional sentences are statements which discusses about known factors or a hypothetical factor as well as their consequences. Conditional sentence is a kind of adverb clause. Conditional sentences are kind of adverb clause. It has the beginning with if or instead of if. There is use of unless, provided that, in case, so long as, and as long as. So conditional sentences, we can also say it as kind of adverb clause. Moving further, look at the third point. The event described in the main clause depends on the condition described in the conditional clause. So this is the main feature of conditional clause. The event described in the main clause depends on the condition described in the conditional clause. It means a conditional sentence has two clauses. One is conditional clause and another is main clause. And the clause which describes an event is main clause, like we will get wet. So it describes a condition, so it is main clause, and it depends on condition clause. Even the main clause is dependent on conditional clause. The condition clause is if it rains. If it rains, only we will get wet, it means. If there were not be rain, we will not get wet. So the main clause is dependent on conditional clause. So a clause that has a starting of if or unless or provided that or in case or so long as or as long as, such clauses can be regarded as conditional clause. And a clause that has the main event, that contains the main event or that describes main event, is the main clause. So this is the general definition or background of conditional sentences. Moving further, let's discuss about its types. So conditional sentences can be categorized into four types. The first one is type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3. Now let's discuss each type one by one. So the first is type 1. So what does type 1 refers or describes? So type 1 describes scientific facts and general facts in main clause. And one thing always causes another. And its structure is, in conditional clause, it starts with if or when, Then simple present means V1 or V5. comma, simple present, dot dot dot. So this is the structure of type 0 conditional sentence. If or when plus simple present in main clause, conditional clause, and comma, simple present in main clause. Look at this example. I hope the example will make you clear. If you don't brush your teeth, so this is conditional clause because it gives a condition and it has a starting of if or whether or unless or something else. So it has a starting of if. And the part is you get cavities. This is the main clause because the reason is described here, event is described here, and it is a scientific fact. So obviously if we don't brush our teeth, we get cavities. It means the first clause has caused the second clause. If we brush teeth, we won't get cavities. So one thing always causes another. So this action has caused the another action. Look at second example. When water reaches 100 degree, it boils. So this is the main clause and this is conditional clause. It is also a scientific fact or general fact, we can say. This can also be regarded as general fact. If we heat, it melts. Scientific fact or general fact. If you believe decently, others respect you. If you behave decently, others respect you. It's general fact. When people smoke cigarette, their health suffer. It's also a general fact. So, in all these sentences, what we see that in each clauses, look at this sentence. I'm going to describe this sentence. The first in the if clause has a starting if plus present simple or simple present. Sorry, let me write here. If plus simple present comma it means subject or other things and v1 v5. So this is the this is type 0 conditional. It means type 0 conditional describes scientific facts and general facts, and one thing always causes another. Its structure is if plus simple present comma simple present. Okay, now let's discuss type 1. So the type 1 conditional is also called probable or likely conditional. The first conditional sentences are used to express situation in which the outcome is likely but not guaranteed to happen in the future. It means first type 1 condition is also called probable condition or probable conditional. It means the first conditional sentences are used to express situation in which the outcome is likely but not guaranteed. It means the conditional clause express a situation, but the outcome is likely. It can happen, it may happen, but not guaranteed. And its structure is if plus simple present, means v1 v5 comma will. Look at this example. This is the structure. If you open the drawer, you will get the key. Look at this sentence. This is conditional clause. If you open the drawer, you will get the key. So, according to conditional clause, the result is not guaranteed. The person who opens the drawer may get the key or may not get the key. So, the first clause or the conditional clause has if plus simple present v1, and in main clause there is will plus v1. So this is the structure of type 1. Look at another example. If you rest, you will feel better. So if someone is tired and she rests, obviously she will feel tired, she will feel better, but not guaranteed if he or she is suffering with critical condition. So it is not sure about the result or the result expressed in or significance expressed in the main clause. And if we talk about the structure of conditional clause if plus v1, and if we talk about the structure of main clause will plus v1, so in conditional clause if plus v1 v5 comma will plus v1 in main clause. So this is the general structure. Moving further to another example. If you set your mind to a goal, you will eventually achieve it. So in this sentence also, if plus simple present will plus v1, I will answer if he calls me. So in this sentence, this is conditional clause. This is conditional clause, and I will answer is main clause. It's main clause. And if we observe the structure is same. In conditional clause, if plus v1 or v5 means v5 calls is here, and in main clause will plus v1. So this is type 1. Now in main clause, will can be replaced by would, should, can, could, may, might. So it is not necessary that in main clause we will only use will. Will can be replaced by would, should, can, could, may, might. Look at this example. If you were in hurry, you may take my car. So instead of v1, instead of may, instead of will, may is used here, but v1 remains the same. If you think it is expensive, you can show you something else. So here can is used instead of will. Similarly, in main clause, we can use the imperative form. Not only we can use the declarative or assertive sentences. In main clause, we can even use imperative form. Look at this example. If you need my help, this is the conditional clause. This is in assertive type. Just give me a ring. This is imperative sentence. But if we talk about the structure, if plus simple present and imperative form is used. Similarly, in if clause, present continuous and present perfect can be used instead of simple present. In if clause, as we discussed earlier, we can use present continuous means is mr plus before present continuous and present perfect tense. Look at this example. Has a plus b3. We can use present perfect has a plus b3. If you are looking after the plants well, this is the conditional clause in the sentence. Let's find its structure. If you are looking, r plus before is used, means present continuous is used, then they will certainly bloom. In main clause, will plus simple present is used, or they would certainly bloom. You can also replace will with would, should, can, could, may, might. In the second example, may I borrow this book? This is the main clause. In if clause, if you have finished reading it, you have plus v3, means present perfect tense is used. So this is type 1. Now let's discuss type 2. What is type 2 conditional? Type 2 conditional is improbable, means unlikely conditional. Its structure is in if clause, if plus v2 means simple past, and in main clause would plus v1. For example, if I were you, I would not sign the statement. If I were you, it means if I were on the place of yours, I would not sign the agreement. It means it seems unlikely because you cannot be as me, or you cannot replace me easily. So it seems improbable. But I cannot be you, because being someone as someone is unreal situation. So if plus simple past was where is used. Was where, instead of was where means past B. In second example, if she won the lottery, she would be happy. But it is unlikely, or there is very less chance of winning a lottery. because it is completely dependent on luck. So there is very less chance. It is improbable or unlikely. Another example is, if I were rich, I would never work again. But if I were rich seems likely, but it needs much effort. So each time it cannot look like or look likely. So I would never work again. So this is type 2. Similarly, in type 2, in main clause we can use might and could instead of would. You can observe in this example, if you jumped from that height, you might get hurt. Here V2 is used, simple past is used, and instead of will, might is used. If an electrician were available, past verb is used in conditional clause. We could get the light corrected. Instead of would, could is used. Similarly, in if clause, we can use were plus to infinitive. Look at this example. If I were to make a choice between money and common sense, I would choose common sense. So instead of simple past or was were, we can also use were plus to infinitive. It means instead of simple past in if clause, simple past means V2 or was were, we can also use were plus 2 plus V1 or infinitive based form of verb. In the second example, if I were to go to a hill station, I would go to Lukla. So here is also were plus 2 plus infinitive is used. So this is the structure of type 2 sentence, type 2 conditional. Moving further, let's discuss about type 3. So what is type 3 conditional? Type 3 conditional is known as impossible conditional. It means the main clause is impossible. Means the action in the if clause did not happen in past, and it is impossible to fulfill since the time has passed. Look at the structure of type 3 sentence. If plus past perfect, comma, in main clause would have plus past participle means V3. This is the structure of type 3 sentence. If plus past perfect means had, in main clause would plus have plus V3 means past have plus past participle, past perfect. Look at this example. If Bonnie had studied, had plus V3 past perfect. In main clause would have past plus V3. It means would have past. So if we rewrite its structure, if plus had plus V3, comma, in main clause would have plus v3, would have plus v3. Would have plus v3. In another example, I would have helped if I had known you were in trouble. So it also seems impossible. The action described in these two examples seems impossible because the time has already passed. And as current, the action cannot be fulfilled, so it is impossible. In first example also you can see, if Bonnie had studied, means in past, if Bonnie had studied, he would have passed the test. But do you think that if Bonnie study now, can this action be finished? Obviously no. Obviously not, because the time has already passed. So that's why type 3 conditional seems impossible. In main clause, instead of would, we can use might, could and should, but have plus v3 should be used. Look at this example. If the government had opened more schools, the country could have progressed. Means you can use might, could, should, but have plus v3 should remain in your structure. In the if clause, we can omit if and begin with had. See, this is a advanced rule a little. It means in if clause, we can omit if and begin with had. So instead of not only if, we can omit unless and other conditional words or adverbs in if clause. Look at this example. Had the authorities taken timely steps, the COVID-19 pandemic could have been avoided. It means instead of if, the sentence is directly started with had. Had we practiced more, we would have won the competition. In this sentence also, if it's omitted. So type 3 sentence is called the impossible sentence, and its structure is if plus add plus v3, in main clause would or could, or we can use would, could or should plus have plus v3. Now look at the summary chart. So this chart summarizes all the rules. So when we have to use type 0, if when you do A, if A action is done and it results B, and when we have to use type 0, if we have to express general truth or scientific facts. For example, if you hit rice, it sorry, if you hit ice, it melts. It's scientific truth. And the first action results the second. So this is type 1. It is used to express general truth or scientific facts. Now let's talk about type 1. What is type 1? Its form is if you do A, B will, might, could result. Means it is not guaranteed like type 0 that there will be certainty of result, but it is unlikely to result. Type 1 is unlikely to result. When we have to use type 1 sentence to describe something likely to happen or a real situation, but it doesn't mean it is certain or guaranteed. So example, if you tease the dog, it will, might, could bite you. So it is not always certain that the dog will bite you, sure, or at sure status. The dog can run away. So it seems unlikely, but there is highest chance of result. Now let's discuss about type 3. What is type 3? If you do A, if you did A, means simple past. B would, might, could result. Means it is uncertain or unlikely. What is type 3? Sorry, let me discuss type 3. Type 3. This is type 2. Type. This is type 2, improbable or unlikely condition. Means we discussed this. And now type 3, it is impossible conditional. So if you no, it is not impossible condition, it is unlikely conditional. It is unlikely conditional. Type 2 is unlikely conditional. So if you did A, B might, could result. When we have to use type 2 conditional, if we have to describe something is unlikely to happen. For example, if all the glaciers melted, the earth would be flooded. But it is not possible that all the glacier will melt. So it seems unlikely. If I were you, I would resign. It also seems unlikely because you cannot be me. So if something is unlikely to happen and we have to describe it, then we use type 2. Now let's talk about type 3. If you had done A, B would, could, might have resulted. So here we have to use type 3 conditional to describe a condition which is impossible to be fulfilled because the time has already passed. Example, if you had been more cooperative, you would have been happier. So if you had completed action A, B could, might have result. But if you have not completed, the B could seems impossible because the time has passed. So I hope this chart makes sense to remember the rules of conditional sentences. Thank you. Have a nice time ahead. Please like the video and subscribe the channel.